At this spot, the albino barbel is supposed to be doing really well. Barbel is already here, but whether the albino barbel actually shows up here, we'll take a look at that. Alright, let's get going at one of the absolute classics here at Bear Lake. And they say the albino barbel keeps getting caught here, and it's even been caught here as a trophy. You can see all of that really well in the RF4 Discord, in the international trophies. You'll see some really nice albino barbels caught there. And it's super simple, really basic, just using pop-up corn. And the first barbels have already come in for me. There they are. So yeah, it's actually going really well. Only barbel so far, not a single other fish. But I've only been here at the spot for about 5 minutes, so of course it's all about testing for now. And the really big barbel times are usually more in the evening or early morning hours. That's when the barbel is much more active. Right now we've got midday and still we're already getting a few bites. So yeah, we're still getting barbel, which is a very good sign. As I just mentioned, you can see it all in the Discord. Jimmy caught the albino barbel here, and of course it even earned him a card, which is really nice. That means, just for the card alone, you get a nice bonus value of 1,400 silver. I definitely wouldn't sell the card, it's going into a deck for sure. That's obvious, of course, catching such a rare fish, and as a trophy is just really crazy. His setup looks pretty basic too, just using size 1 hooks with green corn and using the mussel aroma dip. And then of course, the ground bait mix. I've put together my own mix a bit differently because we know in RF4, the standard mixes don't really work that well. So in his mix, 2 slots are basically wasted, and we could definitely use those better. His mix has 3 times feed pellets in it, but once would be enough. That's why I've built my ground bait mix differently. If we take a look at one of the setups here, my setup is quite similar, but I've adjusted the leader a bit differently too. Because we want to make sure we catch every fish that comes along, I've gone for a shorter leader, only 15 centimeters long. That way, we reduce the chance of fish getting spooked by a long leader, and we've got a much higher chance they'll actually take the bait. Size 1 hooks again, of course, and also with green mussel flavor. And then the ground bait mix, built the way you'd usually build a ground bait mix, but with a tendency toward mussel. The rest is basically focused on barbel. If we look at the standard ground bait mixes, we've got barbel included in there too. And when we're already using those components, we've still got 2 slots left. And we're using those 2 slots to further focus on the aroma we're using as bait. That means we've got wandering mussel in there again, and of course, mussel feed pellets, and no coriander, just mussel sauce as well. So that's how the entire ground bait mix is fully built up towards barbel and the bait we're using. It's definitely a super rare fish, and catching an albino barbel at all is incredibly lucky, no matter the size. But if barbel is running well here, you do have a realistic chance of getting an albino barbel in the mix. The spot should definitely be well known. It's here at 5531, one of the absolute key spots at Bear Lake, and one of the 3 main spots at Bear Lake. The others are at 4450 and 5563. But here at this spot, you want to cast 17 meters out. Why 17 meters? Because at 17 meters, we've got a slightly different bottom. It's a silt bottom. If you move back to 15 meters, it's more grassy there, so you'd have to adjust your setup for that. And you'll find different fish there, of course. Since we're at 17 meters here, we also need the right leader material, color matched, and the weight should also match the color of the bottom to reduce spooking the fish as much as possible. Size 1 hook, as mentioned, and green mussel. Then it's just about waiting, hoping that at some point an albino barbel comes along. That would be absolutely insane. I'm also really curious to see how things go in the evening hours here, whether the bite rate picks up. Right now, it's been a bit slow around midday, but that's pretty normal for barbel. Ideally, you'd be here around 4 a.m., get the ground bait out, and see what happens in the morning hours. That's usually the best time for barbel. And I'll also keep an eye on the weather conditions, how the fish behavior changes depending on different weather situations. That's super important too, and I'm curious if we'll maybe figure out a specific weather that's especially good for barbel. All right, let's cast back out here. 17 meters again, steady ground baiting. I've got about 120 grams of ground bait at the spot now. Whether you use a ball, a PVA bag, a spom, or a method feeder, that's completely up to you. What's important, especially with barbel, is to ground bait. Without ground bait, you'll of course get all sorts of other fish here. Carp can come in here, tench can come in here. So yeah, of course, you can fish here without a ground bait mix, but your chances of specifically targeting barbel here are pretty slim. All right, that's it for the spot. There's really not much more to say. Test it out, give it a go, and with a bit of luck, you might actually catch a barbel here. I'm just gonna let this run in the background now, keep checking in, and hopefully at some point, I'll get an albino barbel on the line. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, give it a try, test it, and I'll see you in the next video or on the live stream. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, always from 7 p.m. Tight lines.